Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to an exciting impromptu episode of Vash Sky ParkCast. My name is Vash Sky. That's, I guess the name implies, I suppose. And you all are the Skylanders tuning in here to talk about a little bit of what's going on at the Disneyland Resort and more broadly, the Disney Experiences Unit. Yes, actually, it was yesterday that we got a report from Bloomberg suggesting that Thomas Mazloum, the current president of Disneyland Resort right now, might become the next chairman of the Disney Experiences division. That's that division that's been the cash cow for the Walt Disney Company, producing, what, $10 billion as of the last quarter right there. I think, what, Q1, fiscal year 2026, if I'm not mistaken, right there. 185,000 cast members. 12 theme parks as it currently stands right now. Maybe 13. We'll see how that actually goes right there. But you're talking about resort experiences all across the world and an ever-expanding cruise line, which happens to be where Thomas Mazloum has come from. He originally came from the Signature Experiences division. And the Disney Signature Experiences division is a very interesting division because it encompasses not just cruise line, but Adventures by Disney, in which you can actually book a vacation through Disney and go on some kind of crazy adventure as guided by Disney themselves. A little bit of that white glove treatment for you. And also DVC. So this guy is he's very experienced within this experiences division, which is good. Fantastic. Awesome stuff. Well, how much do we know about him? Well, to be honest, even I, as somebody who's a Disneyland homer, doesn't know quite enough about him in order to get a picture of who he is. However, there have been some amazing reporters today going into the deep dive of his history that have provided a little bit more of an outlook, not just from where he has been, but maybe where he's going. It's very, very interesting stuff. We got to get into that and much, much more. Now, this is usually where I'd have a guest brought on, but I'm actually not going to do that today, or at least not yet. Anybody that does actually want to come on, you're free and welcome to do so. Before we get to that, though, we got to go ahead and highlight some of the people in the chat right now. We have, I believe, 50 of you watching on both YouTube and X, which is awesome. Also, too, we passed a huge threshold for this channel, going past the 1.5 thousand subscriber mark, which is awesome. And all thanks to you guys. I mean, you guys have been unbelievably supportive, been really enthusiastic about where we have been, where we are going, and it's surely been phenomenal. So thank you, each and every one of you out there. Awesome stuff. Thank you. Let's see if we can't get some of these people in the chat up on the screen right here. Sorry, folks, we went fast. We went live so quickly. It's very impromptu, that's for sure. Let's see right here. We have Buddy Hepburn. Hello there. The Wild Man of Yavin. Hey, what's going on? Thanks so much for coming. Very much appreciate that. Rudio, wishing us some congratulations. Well, thank you, Rudio. Very much appreciate that for sure. Let's see right now. We got a little bit of Tom F, who provided those amazing notes actually at the front of this show. Very, very cool. And thank you so much. And it looks like we have a theme park wizard in the chat as well. Thank you so much. He'd usually be calling me around this time. So, well, there you go. Now you get to hear my thoughts from the horse's mouth, as they say. So that's been pretty cool. Whoa! And we have a producer in the background who just joined us. I very much appreciate you, MJ. Very much appreciate you providing a little bit of support back there. Thank you. Yeah, this was spare of the moment because we really didn't know that we'd be getting this announcement today. When I remember from the Bloomberg article, which I do have, and we'll go through it as well a little bit because obviously it's paywalled. But according to that article, it was supposed to happen like next week or something, or at least that's what I thought. Well, I guess it's coming on now, which is very interesting. Let's go ahead and get into that Bloomberg article, actually. Again, I can't show it on screen, so instead of, looking at white texts, we'll go ahead and get a little B-roll going for you. How about that? That way we have a little bit of a visual entertainment. Let's see right here. Do we like this view for this? We're gonna decide. Yeah, we'll go with something like that. Okay, let me go ahead and bring up this article on my end here and take y'all through it. This was from Blue Loop. Again, this was yesterday, Disney is close to naming Mazloum chairman of Parks unit. To me, that doesn't sound like it's going to be like today, like the next day, but what have you. Let's see here. Walt Disney Company is close to naming Thomas Mazloum as chairman of the company's parks. Exactly, right there. The company's Parks, Cruises, and Consumer Products division, succeeding Josh Giamaro, according to people familiar with the matter. An announcement about Mazloum, who has run the Disneyland Resort in California since March of last year, could come as soon as this week, said the people, who asked not to be identified discussing private information. Okay, well, I mean, as soon as this week, I suppose it's going to be today. So, there you go. Earlier in his career, Mazloum ran Disney's cruise business and held senior roles at Walt Disney World in Orlando. We have a little bit more information about that, too. Mazloum is being named to the role as Giamaro is set to succeed Bob Iger as Bob's chief executive officer at the company's annual meeting on March 18th. And that's the important distinction. He hasn't taken the role yet, but it appears that he will as of March 18th when they make the big switches. Let's go ahead and get this article up on screen right here. This was the breaking news as provided by Scott Gustin. Again, I'm going over some of this stuff in order to highlight to you just how quickly we have moved on this story. We have other breaking news here today, folks, which is very, very interesting. Let me go ahead and put that down, put this up. Scott Gustin here. Thomas Mazloum named officially chairman of Disney Experiences, and Jill Estorino becomes the president of Disneyland Resort. Yeah, a lot of people were wondering what would happen in this instance, and, well, it looks like we have our answer to that as well. We'll get into her in just a moment. This March 10th, 2026, Thomas Mazloum will be the next chairman of Disney Experiences as Josh Giamaro prepares to become the CEO on March 18th. The announcement was made Tuesday alongside a series of leadership changes across the division. The appointment places a longtime Disney operations leader at the helm during a period of growth for the division, which continues to expand its cruise fleet, develop new theme park projects around the world. Quote, "We're in an unprecedented period of growth for the Disney Experiences unit," said Josh Giamaro, chairman of Disney Experiences today, and incoming chief executive officer of the Walt Disney Company. This team will propel the world-class experiences Disney is known for to more guests around the globe. He says team because there were a swath of different individuals being placed at key positions as announced today. Again, we'll get into all of that, guys. I mean, it's all moving very, very quickly. Mazloum most recently served as president of Disneyland Resort, where he oversaw Disneyland Park, Disney California Adventure, 3 resort hotels, and the downtown Disney District during the resort's 70th anniversary celebration. Look, this is all true. No question about that. But you gotta remember, this guy was made the president of Disneyland back in March of 2025. Okay? We're not even a full year into his presidency at Disneyland Resort, and already he's being propelled up to the chairman of the entire division. Again, one that leads 185,000 cast members worldwide. That is insane. That's crazy. I mean, again, I've seen short tenured presidencies at Disneyland before. In fact, I don't even think Josh Giamaro was there for too long before he was made the president of Walt Disney World, and then very quickly thereafter, I believe in the same year, was made the chairman of the Disney Experiences unit himself. So it's not completely unprecedented, but it is one of those things where it's like, okay, he may have overseen operations of multiple Disney resorts. Again, we'll get into that deep dive in that history right there. But he has never run Walt Disney World, maybe doing stuff at Disney Signature Experiences, maybe doing stuff at Disneyland. But now to become the chairman of the entire division? It's a little bit of a leap. His tenure came during a significant period of transition for Disneyland, as they began for major expansion projects tied to Disneyland Forward development plan approved by Anaheim in 2024. In fact, that's very, very interesting that Scott brings this up, because a lot of people were, kind of like, whoa, why is Thomas Mazloum getting this position? Shouldn't Ken Potrock get this position? And I suppose there's some ideas there, because Ken Potrock, he was really given a bad hand when it came to Disneyland. I mean, that guy was made the president of Disneyland, like, I'm talking like 3 months before what happened with COVID, right? the shutdowns and having to endure a shutdown for your entire resort for 412 days. And that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was reopening, which they had to hire some 15, 20,000 cast members, lickety split, because the 28,000 cast members that they laid off in the fall of the previous year, well, only 50% of them came back. So he was in charge of getting everybody up to speed. We're talking tens of thousands of people, hundreds of roles across property, and facilitating this, what was a cash cow for the Walt Disney Company, restoring it to the revenue generating engine that it previously was, with, I mean, very limited resources. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and make Ken Potrock the guy who's going to oversee, I guess, the company's celebrations regarding the 250th anniversary of this country, and I think the LA Olympics and a couple of other, side projects. And it's like, that's okay. I mean, I suppose we can put him in that role. I personally might have made him the head of Walt Disney World Resort. Perhaps if that were the case, maybe, we could have seen some of these things, some of these issues that Walt Disney World is currently contending with. Maybe those things could have been modified had Ken Potrock been placed at the head of Walt Disney World Resort. But, c'est la vie, we didn't actually get that. My fear was that we were going to get Jeff Valley, the current president of Walt Disney World Resort. Thankfully, that didn't actually happen. It looks like Thomas Mazloum, well, I mean, as announced today, he's going to be the guy. Before that role, Thomas Mazloum led Disney Signature Experiences, where he helped develop the long-term growth strategy for Disney Cruise Line, including plans to double the fleet size. The cruise business recently expanded into Southeast Asia with the launch of the Disney Adventure in Singapore. And boy, oh boy, what a launch it has been. That can't be understated right now. That launch has, quite frankly, at least to my eyes, it's been kind of a disaster. I understand they... Disney, that is, released a new, We Are Imagineering, or we call it Imagineering, video that they go into a deep dive of the Disney Adventure to try to, showcase everything that they did, everything that they accomplished. But it hasn't been going well, folks. It really, really hasn't. We'll talk about it more tomorrow during, our standard showcase, which would be at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And we'll have some panelists on there to give their expertise on those stories. There's no question about that. But it's been kind of a disaster. And again, that was Thomas Mazloum's previous division. So did he have a lot of say in the Disney Adventure? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But just saying. Mazloum's career with Disney also includes senior leadership roles at Walt Disney World. Prior to joining the company, he worked in European luxury hospitality. Later served as chief operating officer of Crystal Cruise Lines. Interesting. Since D'Amaro was chosen as the company's next CEO, Mazloum had widely been viewed inside Disney as the leading contender for the role. Quote, Thomas Mazloum is an exceptional leader with a genuine appreciation for our cast members and a proven track record of delivering growth, said D'Amaro. His focus on service excellence, broad international leadership, and strong connection to creativity that brings our stories to life make him the right leader to guide Disney Experiences into its next chapter. It's an interesting idea to have somebody with such a spotty track record give this kind of high praise to Thomas Mazloum, because Josh D'Amaro, I gotta be honest, he has been one of the worst parks chiefs that I remember in recent history. I mean, obviously Paul Pressler has got to be worse, but Josh D'Amaro is pretty bad. And the reason why I say he's pretty bad is just because of the monetization lengths that Disney has gone in order to drive revenue. It's just been completely disastrous for the brand, for the goodwill, for people's perception of this beloved division. It's just, when you add in services like Lightning Lane, when you try to move everybody from Glendale, California out there to Lake Noda and give them 18 months in order to do so, or else you lose your job. That'd be the long-term Imagineers there. And then you just decide, hey, we're not going to do that. Actually, we're just going to drop that plan. We'll go ahead and stick around in Glendale for a while. It's like, Come on. Like, that's not cool. And it also starts out questionable, even when he was president of Disneyland Resort. He goes in front of the board there, the board of, what is it, the city board that governs Anaheim right there, and says, hey, we are not going to go ahead and take any tax incentives whatsoever. We just want to go ahead and bury the hatchet when it comes to our very damaged relationship that had grown for probably 5-10 years prior. Okay, we're just not gonna, it's gonna be all right. We're gonna go ahead and we aren't going to take advantage of those tax incentives that we had been taking advantage of for, 40 plus years before that point. Okay, fine, whatever. And a lot of people saw that was a goodwill gesture on DMRO's behalf in order to, quell down some of the issues relating to that whole thing. But in actuality, he was doing it in order to avoid the measures that would come with Measure L. That being this voted on bill or law that would provide for a higher pay for whatever employees of any company that took advantage of any tax subsidies with the city. So it's like, okay, we're going to go ahead and avoid paying cast members more, and then try to claim it as a goodwill gesture later on. It's like, it's not very great. And that was even before he was chairman of the Parks Division itself. So DMRO coming out here and saying, Thomas Mazloum, he's the guy for the job, trust me. I don't know. I think his trust is a little, broken there, at least in my eyes. Now, Thomas Mazloum, I think, is very interesting going into this next era, because we had actually talked about on this show, folks, about Thomas Mazloum's recent efforts to reduce friction points, as Disneyland vernacular would tell it, for the guests and improve the guest experience. That I thought was very interesting. People will know that we just recently had Drew the Disney Dude on this show. And we were talking to him. We talked about his experience of going to this media summit that Disney hosted back last month, highlighting the Disney California Adventures 25th anniversary. And you look at that and you go, hey, that's pretty cool. Media summit out there, highlighting the history of this theme park. Very, very cool. But in actuality, it was really kind of a goodwill gesture in order to be transparent about the efforts going on within Disneyland, that is, about improving the guest experience. And it kind of took people by surprise. They gave this big symposium about, hey, we're reducing, we're altering our refurbishment strategy in order for more guests to visit more things every single day at the Disneyland Resort. It's like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. That's great, even. They talked about how they were taking, the cast members, right? And the cast members, obviously they create the magic, the experience that we so cherish at Disneyland Resort. He talked about how they were adjusting the cast member trainings in such a way in order to provide for more days for traditions, right? This kind of cast member school that cast members actually have to go through in order to become frontline employees at the Disneyland Resort. It's like, look, we had shortened that. We had shortened the onboarding that it took to actually become a cast member and get you into your role, because we were just trying to fill bodies. We were trying to fill slots. Again, like I was saying before, when the parks reopened in April of 2021, they didn't have the range of cast members required in order to fully operate that theme park. You'll remember that it started with limited hours, right? I think it was closing at 7, which was crazy. Part of that was they didn't have enough cast members in order to facilitate all of the roles and provide a great guest experience on day one. They had to, basically hire up in order to do that. And they had to hire it up fast. So what they do, they shortened training. A lot of stuff was virtual. Some of the stuff even, which is crazy, a lot of emphasis was placed on safety. And I was like, okay, yeah, safety. That's great. That's fantastic. But, when people are paying as much as they are and something goes wrong or people have to interact with a cast member, safety's great. But it's really those cast members that create those magical experiences. And unfortunately, Disneyland, admittedly, did not provide those cast members the tools in order to be successful, which was kind of shocking to hear out of anybody from Disney, much less Disneyland Resort. But it was really Thomas Mazloum's group that was pushing that idea forward. Remember, he comes from Signature Experiences. He comes from, cruise line, where you have to have white glove treatment in order to properly provide for guests. He comes from that division, understands the importance of the cast members to your experience, to your day, what have you. And I think one of the first things that he asks when he comes back into the role, or I should say comes into the role for the first time at Disneyland Resort, is saying, what are we doing about the guest experience as it relates to cast members? What are we doing about training? What are we doing about, quite frankly, a lot of the messages, emails, and cast member compliments, or maybe the opposite of, at guest relations? What are we doing about these things? And so he deep dived into it, him and his team, and apparently they are making improvements at Disneyland Resort in order to get this shored up and get this right. But it's really interesting how somebody within the parks, experiences division would actually have to come forward and say, you know what, we messed up. We didn't get it right. We things could have gone a lot better than they ultimately did, but we're doing something about it. I'll give Thomas Mazloum credit for doing that, because that shows ownership, and that shows the humility that we've wanted from Disney for so long. How many times on the various programs that you see me on, whether it's That Park Place or WW Pro or whatever, and we say this company can't admit any wrongdoing. They can't admit when they failed. They can't admit when they messed up. Well, Thomas Mazloum did. That's saying something. So that's a source of optimism for sure. We'll get into some of the more details here. Let's see. I believe with Mazloum moving into the chairman role effective March 18th, Disney also announced a series of leadership shifts across the experiences division. And we can see Jill Estorino becoming president of Disneyland Resort. I want to go ahead and focus on Thomas a little bit more just for a second, because I think it's really crucial to getting a full picture and understanding of where he comes from. I believe I had a little breakdown right here. Yes. Give me just a second, folks. Gonna go ahead and wet the whistle here. Perfectly placed, MJ. Perfectly placed. This is from the Boardwalk Times. Mazloum's SVP role was operations. So in that particular role, he oversaw 31 Disney Resort hotels, Disney Springs, ESPN Wide World of Sports, and transportation operations across Walt Disney World. So this guy has the experience, no doubt about it. I mean, that's quite the position right there. And again, that's before he even gets to cruise line. So I think he's got the bona fides. I'm actually going to be doing a deeper dive into the extent of his history, actually, in the coming days, especially over the course of our regularly scheduled programming, in order to provide you an even greater picture about what's going on right here. But Boardwalk Times has another little post right here. Career at a glance. Thomas Mazloum was the hotel director, Disney Cruise Line, the general manager, food and beverage special events at Walt Disney World. Special events, food and beverage, an interesting position. Senior Vice President, Walt Disney World, President, Disney Signature Experiences, and President, Disneyland. Okay, so he was the Vice President of Walt Disney World. See, I actually didn't know that. I had thought that he didn't have a greater operational experience for the entire theme parks division when it came to Walt Disney World. That's interesting. Okay, so he has a little bit of experience working at scale there. Very good. Food and beverage, special events at Walt Disney World. I looked at the food quality of Disneyland recently. Not super impressed by that. We have stories coming up, folks, in some of our future coverage talking about the food quality or lack thereof at Disneyland Resort. That's not good. Like, switching to lower quality chocolate for confections on Main Street and so forth. That's not cool. That's not good. But okay, general manager, food and beverage, got it. Hotel director, Disney Cruise Line. Yeah, well, he has definitely worked his way up through the service industry portion of the parks division. That is absolutely for sure. Very interesting. Very interesting. I want to also get an exact date on when he actually joined and how many years of experience that he has. I don't know if we know that number right off the bat. If anybody knows in the chat, by the way, I would be most appreciative. And we'll go ahead and highlight you for sure. Let's see. Yeah, MagicalyMJ, I agree. He really needs to fix the food quality at Walt Disney World resort parks. Tell me about it. Disneyland could use some improvement on that front as well. Let's see. Florentine Creator Singer says Epcot is okay. Magic Kingdom, that needs help. Yes, it does. The only reason Epcot is okay is because, well, it's not torn up right now. It already experienced that years ago. So I do agree with that right there. Sargon 2008 says Thomas Mazloum is going to be a better chairman of Disney Experiences than Josh Tomorrow ever was. That might be the case. I mean, I don't know how much worse you can run the Experiences division until something, terribly goes wrong. At this point, I mean, we've seen kind of the lack of refurbishments across the board, certainly at Walt Disney World, in some parts of Disneyland, although I think Disneyland is doing something about it, which is good. We've seen the reduction of hours across resort properties. I understand Drew the Disney Dude actually brought this to my attention that some of those reductions of hours might stem from, trying to rework the cast member scheduling and provide for more experiences during somebody's day. So it's like, okay, maybe you don't have 16 hours of operating day. Maybe you only have 15 or 14. But for those 14 hours, you're going to get a lot more experiences provided to you than you otherwise could. That's good. I would hope, myself personally, that you add enough cast members in order to provide for a full operating day, especially during they were closing at 11 during Christmas time. It's crazy. It was absolutely insane. We can stretch that out, and I think it's important that you do, because operationally speaking, it's kind of a disaster when you don't have that full operating day in Anaheim, because, well, if people are forced to leave earlier than expected, guess what happens to the streets surrounding the Disneyland Resort within the city of Anaheim? Think about what happens to the freeways with thousands of people trying to leave. That's the thing. Those are the things you have to think about, and I don't think that operational experience comes any other way. You have to be there for a while. Again, Thomas Mazloum was added in March of last year. But really, when it comes to big changes and substantial moves, you can't really do those things until about October 1st, because that's a new fiscal year, and that's when Burbank really rolls out the budgets for whatever you want to do, whether it's an increase in entertainment programs, whether it's increases in a cost related to labor, training, etc. You can't really do any of those things before that time. So really, Thomas Mazloum and the amount of changes that he's been able to enforce at Disneyland Resort, I think that comes down to, what, like 7 months or something like that? Like, it's a pretty short window there. So, again, a lot of people have come up to me and saying, hey, what do you think about this, about Thomas Mazloum? It's like, he just wasn't in the role long enough for me to really have a very greater opinion, other than that media summit that just was conducted. And we said it at the time, Skyliners. We said it when that summit originally happened. This might be Thomas Mazloum making the move to be the next chairman. And now he is. Isn't that very interesting? In this kind of almost rush announcement right here. And they might be rushing it for a reason, but let's go ahead and get into some more commentary from the wider community, because it's very interesting what's happening here. Let's see here. From Five Fires, go ahead and take a swig here. Disneyland is not in a good place with all this continual change at the president position. There's no focus, vision, and leadership to steer the ship, sadly. Low entertainment, repeats after repeats everywhere from merch, food, parades, fireworks, and characters. When, in the world, is Fantasmic getting a dragon again? When? Yeah, I can't argue with this opinion. This is Five Fires. Five Fires is pretty balanced and fair when it comes to the perception around the Disneyland Resort. He'll call balls and strikes when appropriate. But that is kind of the sentiment coming out of Disneyland. It's just there hasn't really been steady leadership for a while. I think Ken Potrock is that one moment in time in which we had a steady hand while at the plate there. But the issue is that it was so tumultuous during his time. He really didn't have enough time in order to fly and flourish. So that's really unfortunate. But we have had, a slate of Disneyland presidents going back 10 years or so, just of all these different people that have come in and gone away, unfortunately leaving their mark in good and bad ways. This includes Josh Giamaro. This includes, obviously, Thomas Mazloum. This includes some people, going back far enough, you got Paul Pressler and Matt Ouimet and so forth, right? But then you have a long list after that of just people just constantly switching in and out, And it's to the point where I can't even remember their names off the top of my head right now because there was so much turnover at this single position. And unfortunately, Disneyland, without that steady hand, has declined in some aspects. And I know Mazloum and his team were really committed in order to, shoring this stuff up. But, what happens to that grand master plan now? A lot of words were spoken. Will we get action? I'm actually not too sure. So that's something that's certainly concerning. But Mazloum wasn't the only one getting changed around here. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Let me go ahead and remove that from my bookmark. Very much appreciate that. Let's see right here if we can get the full list of who's actually moving around. Disney Experiences announces major leadership changes. Thomas Mazloum named chairman of Disney Experiences. Jill Estorino named president of Disneyland Resort. Tasia Filipatos, I believe, named president Disney Parks International. Lisa Baldziki named president Disney Consumer Products. Transitions will get underway in the next few weeks, with all the roles effective March 18th, 2026. I do believe some of those women mentioned actually were in contention for the top spot as well. I remember some of those names being voiced around. When it comes to the president of Disneyland Resort, however, she had this to say. Disneyland is where Walt's dream began and has always represented the very best of what Disney can be. I am honored to lead this incredibly special resort, deepen our long-standing commitment to the community, and support our cast members as we care for its rich legacy and continue to create new, innovative experiences that resonate with today's guests and generations to come. Okay. All right. Pretty solid. Not much said right there. Certainly saying all the right things, but can she make the right moves in order to turn the ship around right here? As you see from one major fan like Five Fires, for example, there's not a lot of faith in that. It's a lot of people going, it's great that we're getting somebody else in this position, I suppose, but we haven't even fulfilled the promises that were made by the last president. And that's the kind of the crazy thing right there. I believe Scott has a little bit more on Jill. Jill Estorino will succeed Mazloum as president of Disneyland Resort. She previously served as president of Disney Parks International, where she oversaw operations and development at Disneyland Paris, Hong Kong Disneyland, Shanghai Disney Resort, and Tokyo Disney Resort in partnership with the Oriental Land Company, that being the management team or company behind Tokyo Disney Resort. She has been with Disney for 35 years and previously held senior roles, including Executive Vice President of Global Marketing and Sales for Disney Parks Experiences and Products. Jill is a remarkable leader who deeply understands what makes Disneyland special, said Diamaro. She leads with heart, holds incredibly high standards, and believes that great guest experience begins with inspired cast members. Jill brings a global perspective shaped by strong collaborations with international businesses, community, and government leaders, while guiding significant strategic investments for long-term global growth. Jill is uniquely suited to carry Walt Disney's legacy forward while building what's next for this special destination. Interesting. Some of her recent park projects include Marvel's Adventures Campus at Walt Disney Studios Park at Disneyland Paris. I thought it was Disney Adventure World, actually. Scott, come on. We got to get to the name of the scheme here. No. Adventures Campus. I gotta be honest. I don't think I'm putting that on the resume. I think when I'm looking at that, I'm going, yeah, it happened. It was a thing, but I don't necessarily think I would be highlighting that in terms of my portfolio. It's just not the route I would have gone myself personally. But okay. World of Frozen at Hong Kong Disneyland, which is basically a duplicate of what Tokyo got and a little bit of an expansion of what Epcot got originally, but okay. Zootopia at Shanghai Disney Resort and Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea. All right, let me go ahead and ask you guys. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of things here. One, for Thomas Mazloum, what are you most excited to see him do? If you had a wish list of what you'd want done for the Disney Experiences unit, what would it be? Maybe we can start forwarding this stuff and getting the word out there for what we want from Thomas Mazloum. But when it comes to these projects right here, I'm going to ask you guys out there in the chat as well. Do you think these are strong projects that should be attributed to you? I mean, that's the thing. I don't know if I'm necessarily proud of any of those projects. And that, unfortunately, includes Fantasy Springs. And only because, well, it wasn't super successful at getting Japanese tourists or international tourists over to that resort and really making it financially viable. That's the really sad thing about that. As much quality as has been imbued by the Imagineers for that project, it just didn't accomplish its goals, which is why the Oriental Land Company is very choosy on what projects they actually go forward with. Very, very interesting stuff indeed. Disneyland is where Walt's dream began, and it has always represented the very best of what Disney can be. Estorino. I am honored to lead this incredibly special resort, keeping our longstanding commitment to the community and support our cast members. I believe we already read that. Well, there you go. We read that again there for Chill there. Yeah, I just don't know. I'm gonna need to see a little bit more. I will say she strategically is probably a decent move, at least for right now. Because you got to think, okay, if she's overseeing those projects, as varying in quality as that may be, your role as an operations manager, right, is to facilitate for those construction, for that construction, I should say. So, again, it's all about how do we move people around these construction projects? How do we facilitate the construction umbilicus in order to get these projects facilitated and actually built? How do we position Imagineers in order for them to do their work? What hours do we actually work on these projects in order so that it doesn't disrupt the guest stay from excessive noise and so forth? Those are all considerations that you have to make as an operations manager in order to facilitate the construction of these projects, right? So the reason why I'm bringing it all up is, well, when you look at Disneyland Resort, what are they going through right now? They're going through multiple construction projects. Again, we have Coco on the way for that corner of Disney California Adventure that nobody likes to talk about, that Pixar Pier location, right? We have the Avatar project that allegedly is still on the table. I mean, that's what Thomas Mazloum said recently. I'm looking at those box office receipts. I don't know. Got to be honest with you. I don't know if I would go forward with that, but allegedly that's what's going on right now. And you got that Porto's construction, that big restaurant complex right there that they have being built just beside the entrance of Disney California Adventure right now, that has been unbelievably disruptive. Folks, we haven't really got into it on previous shows, but that Porto's construction, you've got people going into the backside of DCA to try to get around and get into Disney California Adventure. You've got, crazy lines forming around, I guess, like the tram load unload area. I mean, it's just been kind of a disaster, that Porto's construction right there. It's been unbelievably impactful for the guest experience trying to get in and out of the Disney Resort and its Esplanade region right there. So maybe Joe coming in there, maybe she could say, hey, look, listen, we can't have the walls all the way out where we can't have traffic, moving to and fro right here. We have to do something in order to make this a little bit navigable for our guests and the guest experience. Perhaps that's something we could expect, at least in the very, very short term. I suppose we'll have to see what impacts this will have at the Disneyland Resort going forward right there. I also like the point that Firefighters brought up about Fantasmic, about the dragon, because I remember hearing rumors about the Dragon and its construction being facilitated in, I believe, London, if I'm not mistaken. And I have not heard an update since. And that was years ago. And allegedly, they were trying to get the Dragon on board, up, and installed in time for the 70th anniversary. Well, the 70th anniversary kicked off last year, so I don't think that's coming anytime soon, unfortunately. There's just all kinds of problems that if Jill really wants to make her mark at Disneyland Resort, she can make pronto, because food quality at Disneyland Resort has just dropped tremendously. I know some of that's being done because of this Cisco transition, that being Cisco Foods providing all the ingredients and raw materials in order to create dishes at Disneyland Resort. I mean, the French fry situation, that's just embarrassing. Come on. Like,
they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
That's perfect. Perfectly placed right there. It's just, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have a situation in which you take all the French fry dishes and you substitute them out, whether or not they were crinkle fries or waffle fries or whatever. And you're going to substitute all that out with, like, I guess, like, low quality string fries or something like that. It's just like, come on. Like, what's going on here? Why are we substituting chocolate for the confectionery on Main Street? Like, why are we going with lower quality product? Now, you could bet you'd be paying the same or maybe even more. But it's like, that doesn't really create a great guest experience. There are just all these little these little things that you can do to really increase guest satisfaction, I think. By the way, we're going to be talking about on the next show, too, about these After Dark events at Disneyland and how they just, they're really lackluster. And the sales might actually reflect that, because almost none of them have sold out. Disney has done the unprecedented thing of showcasing the entertainment guides related to these experiences, these After Dark experiences, before the After Dark experiences actually take place, which is unprecedented. They've never done that before. Usually it's like, okay, you buy in, people are so excited, then they debut those entertainment guides like on the night of or whatever. But a lot of people believe that they were trying to induce sales for these After Dark experiences through showcasing these entertainment guides in advance. Again, there's just little stuff that's going on that is kind of diminishing the guest experience at Disneyland. And I understand they're in the process of shoring up some of that. Hopefully, Jill can continue some of those efforts made famous by Thomas Mazloum very recently. But I don't know. It's just a lot of transition all happening all at once. And a lot of you guys seem to be concerned about that. Let's see, MagicalyMJ. Let's be honest, the food at the resorts are better than the parks. Disneyland has better food quality than Walt Disney World Resort. That's what I hear, and if that's true, that is no good right there. More closed things than ever, and lines and payments for the scraps. This by Pickman School right there. Yeah, and indeed, that is absolutely for sure. Let's see, I believe we have another one from him as well. Some randoms began with hot and made it not. Let's see right here. If it's special now than what was years ago before the fake entertainment and higher prices. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's never been more expensive to go at Disneyland Resort or Walt Disney World Resort for that matter. And yes, we do have the new kind of electrical parade that's made its debut over there at Walt Disney World. But outside of that, we really haven't seen new entertainment options being brought to either Walt Disney World or Disneyland. How many times have you guys scrolled in your social media feeds and seen stuff for like the new Mulan, or I should say, sorry, new Moana show over there at one of the Disney cruise liners, or the new Hercules show, or any of these other shows that they debuted on the Disney cruise liners, like the Adventure, the Treasure, the Destiny, and so forth? How many times have you seen that? And it's like, wait a minute. When's the next show you're going to bring out at Walt Disney World or Disneyland? And even if you want to say, okay, well, we got Little Mermaid over there at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I mean, we did, but again, that was just opening up a venue that was previously closed. that was restoring a show that was there before. We really haven't gotten that much new outside of one new parade. A lot of these things have been holdovers from the past or relaunching them. Like Paint Night, for example. Paint Night coming back at Disneyland Resort. That's fantastic. But you know what happened with that? They shut down Magic Happens, their daytime parade. And then at Christmas time, you would have thought, oh, okay, well, maybe we get the Christmas Fantasy Parade and Paint Night at the same time. That didn't happen. We only got one or the other. And these things have been constantly happening at all the parks, quite frankly. This diminishment of entertainment is at this point systemic. It's certainly a decision being made. I mean, why is the Hyperion still empty? It was filled, I believe, in the summer of 2023 with Rogers the Musical, and even that was not anywhere near the caliber of previous productions like Aladdin and Frozen. But we did get something, and then we didn't. And look, I understand the issues related to that might be union-oriented. From what I understand from the rumors that I've heard, apparently, there was a conflict between Oogie Boogie Bash and where they like to stage some of that event and the holding area for the Hyperion, right? So it's like, okay, well, entertainment needs this, like, I guess special entertainment needs this, and then entertainment in general needs this, and it's like, what are we going to do here? So the compromise was, okay, let's go ahead and have less shows on the days that we do have Oogie Boogie Bash, but those cast members are going to be paid accordingly. So instead of for 5 shows, maybe they get paid for 3, something to that effect. And the unions didn't take that very, very well, and they said that they should be getting full pay every single day, regardless of how many entertainment acts are actually put on. Disneyland didn't fold. What they ended up doing was folding up their show, which is unfortunate. But it's just, it doesn't have to be this way. You can have entertainment offerings. And here's the thing. Even if you didn't want to have entertainment offerings for the regular day guest, why are you shorting entertainment options for these after dark events? Like, for example, the 70th anniversary after dark event that just took place, I think there was like one new entertainment offering, and that was the Sounds of Magic that occurred on the Rivers of America out there. And it's like, that's great, that's awesome. But then every other entertainment venue had just DJs. Now, Videopolis, especially with a very famous DJ out there in the LA area, was very well received. And that's good. That's fantastic. That's great. And they had line dancing in the Golden Horseshoe over there at Disneyland. Good. Awesome. Great. Fantastic stuff. But that was basically it for entertainment. Like those 3 things. No fireworks shows, no parades, no big entertainment acts, no cavalcades. There was nothing outside of those things. I think they maybe had a projection show on It's a Small World, which, they could have made a custom projection show, but they obviously didn't do that. It's just kind of weird. It's very strange how Disney is going about providing entertainment options at the parks. And I understand it's expensive, and I understand they want to push Lightning Lane, which might be one of the reasons why there's less entertainment options. But it just rounds out your day. And for the people who aren't so ride-based or ride-focused, maybe you have older adults, or maybe you have younger kids that can't ride every single ride, having those entertainment options is a massive improvement towards anybody's day and provides for some of the value that you charge. Again, some of the prices at Disneyland Resort right now, it's $200 plus a day to get into these parks. On some days, at least. And yet, Hyperion is closed. Fantasyland Theater is getting a Bluey show. I guess. Okay, fine, whatever. But then, why don't we have, anything in the Golden Horseshoe? Why is Fantasmic in the disaster state that it is in? There was a post from, I believe, Disney Scoop by actually on Twitter, who was saying that the Columbia had to be pushed around the riverbend in order to make that show possible, which I saw back in December of 2025. And it's like, why is this show in the state that it's currently in right now? Why is this going on right now? Why is this happening? And Barry the Music Man actually makes a good point. Bringing up Universal and how bad you all think Universal has done to them. Yeah, exactly. I want to bring up Universal as well because FanFest Nights is right around the corner. I believe it kicks off, I think, in April of this year. if I'm not mistaken. FanFest nights is half the price of what Disneyland After Dark, the Disneyland 70th After Dark experience, was charging. I believe that was, what I want to say it was $159. FanFest nights, like $85. Now think about what you get at FanFest nights. Think about, this unique tram experience in which you board the tram and you get transported to the place where they actually shot the monster films, that being Little Europe and that area on the backlot. And apparently they're going to have, Scooby-Doo make contact with the monsters out there. It's going to be this whole kind of fun event experience, this kind of walkthrough experience and so forth. Just, think about the effort that takes in order to facilitate something like that. Think about the multiple sound stages worth of entertainment that you have, like Dungeons and Dragons, for example. One Piece coming into the Waterworld Theater, which is, I'm super excited for. Jurassic Park is being constructed right now on the lower lot. A new Yoshi meet and greets over there at Super Nintendo World. It's like, come on, it's these things aren't that difficult to facilitate. And yet we just see a diminishment at a higher price point at the Disneyland Resort and other places with Disney right now. It doesn't have to be this way. So I'm hoping that Jill Estorino actually shores up some of this stuff in place of Thomas Mazloum. And hopefully Jeff Volley, if he happens to retire soon, which, that will be on his own decision, obviously. But if he decides to do that, maybe their replacement might be more guest inclined than current leadership. I hope so. I really don't know, but these are the issues. These are the problems contending the entire theme park division under the Disney Corporation that Thomas Mazloum will have to address. JZR Inker here says, it seems like Universal wants to make things more affordable. Obviously, when somebody sets a price like Disney, right, you do try to match that. And the idea being that that's what the market will bear. So it's like, okay, well, if Disney's selling this at this quality level at this price, right, then why don't we join into that? That's the kind of loose idea there. That being said, though, just because you might charge the same or similar or less doesn't mean you have to provide less for that experience. And I will say what Universal is doing really, really well is providing value for your money, where every single dollar that you spend goes so much farther. I'll say that about Universal as opposed to Disney. It might not always be super cheap. It might not always be cheaper than Disney. Right now, it currently is. But you definitely are getting a lot for your money, and that's really, really good to see. Rudio here says, consistent and efficient team scheduling and experiences made FanFest a top-tier event last year. It outshined every Disney After Dark event. That's a good point. The perception of what you get for an After Dark experience is out there. Why? Because Universal made it happen. Universal said, you know what? We see your After Dark experiences, Disney. We're going to put one of those on our own property. And it's going to way outclass and outshine you. Like, the Back to the Future stuff was awesome. I really didn't, I wasn't able to relay my experiences from FanFest nights to the extent that I wanted to. But I'll tell you what, when I was at the Back to the Future area over there, and I may have footage I can provide for all of you to kind of like show this, just to get an idea of what I'm talking about right here. But when I was there and in the courthouse square where they filmed Back to the Future 1 and 2, where, Michael J. Fox really did step off those courthouse steps, and Doc Brown was really on that clock tower and so forth. To be in that area just alone was magical. But to take advantage of what Universal provided in the way of entertainment was legendary. I'll always remember that. And it's heartbreaking to me that Back to the Future can actually make a return, at least this time around. But suffice it to say, I mean, just based on the experience alone, has me excited about Fan Fest this year, because I know they're going to imbue the same kind of quality level, atmosphere, and so forth that they did last year. I just know that for a fact. Even if they don't, they still outshine Disney completely. It's not even a question. Let me see if I have that Fan Fest footage for you, because it's really magical. There you go. That's the one. Let me see if I can go ahead and remove that right there. Put that up. It was awesome. I'll skip forward ahead. You can see people right there taking, pictures with the DeLorean, obviously, with Einstein the dog, which is awesome, right? And that is all happening in Courthouse Square, where, like I said before, they actually filmed individual scenes from the film, from Back to the Future 1 and 2, where obviously they go to 2015 and see the future, right? And they see how Courthouse Square has been affected by that. And obviously, basically all of 1 is filmed right there, which is super, super cool. It was so great to see this kind of Hill Valley brought to life in this way. As a Back to the Future fan, that was super, super cool. And again, this kind of stuff is what Disneyland and Disney could do if they wanted to. They could very easily, right? They could. I think it was Theme Park Casual actually pointed this out to me. What if you could actually walk the ride track of something like Indiana Jones Adventure? How unbelievable would that be? That'd be super cool. As long as you could do it safely, I think that would be an experience absolutely worth going to. You could have performances of Fantasmic, maybe even special performances of Fantasmic, like the original version of the show that everybody's been asking for years. That would be cool. You could, and for relatively no money. There's wonderful clips from The Wonderful World of Disney in which they had people like Louis Armstrong playing on the Mark Twain. What would you could reenact that, especially for a Disneyland 70th event in which you're trying to highlight the company's or the park's unique history. What about the Golden Horseshoe, where you could bring back the Billy Hill and the Hillbillies, even just for a couple of nights? Wouldn't that be something? Just all kinds of stuff they could do, and yet they didn't actually do that. Thomas Mazloum, I believe, is one of the standout presidents that we've had at Disneyland Resort. No question. That media summit, I mean, they really said the right things, and they were, at least when they actually said them, they were committed to actually implementing so many of those changes that really improves the guest experience and really acknowledging what guests had issues with, which is great, which is fantastic, which is good. But what happens now? That's the question. Will Jill actually continue that? Will Thomas Mazloum make those same assessments for the entire division worldwide and do the things that need to be done in order to improve the guest experience and to improve customer satisfaction and guest value? Because right there, what you're seeing on screen right there, that's value. That's like half of what Disney charged right there for that. And an incredible experience that everybody was just, climbing over themselves in order to experience for themselves. I remember I spent like 4 hours there. Like just doing the Hill Valley stuff. It was awesome. It was amazing. It was incredible. Universal has definitely led the way. They've set the standard, and hopefully Disney is picking up on that, because they will be left behind if they don't. Chef Eddie, they can't do that at Disney. All the C-suite executives would be mad if they didn't get to pet the dog. You saw what happened with the hippo. That's true. That's some deep references right there. I don't have time to walk all the way through that, but you can kind of see like the hippo stuff. Yeah, it's so crazy what's gone on at the theme parks division and in the C-suite in the last 5 years. It has definitely been a what did Bob Iger say? Oh yes, a ride of a lifetime for sure. Let's see right here. Okay, give me just 1 second, guys. Let me go ahead and get a drink right here. Okay. With the remaining time that we have, because I have to actually run, I have a hard out at 5 o'clock my time, which is roughly 8 o'clock Eastern. we have to talk about this now. I didn't want to, you know, I obviously don't want to be sensational for sensational sake, right? Obviously, there's going to be traumatic events that happen at all of these theme parks, and it's important when you actually cover them to be as respectful as possible. Obviously, there might be victims involved in incidents involving people, right? And so we want to go ahead and cover those very, very carefully. But we do have to talk about this. People in the chat have discussed this. Okay, so there was also breaking news today related to Disneyland specifically, where there was a hazmat situation that involved multiple cast members. Now, as it's been relayed, they've been sent to the hospital. Now, let's go ahead and see what they're saying about this. Authorities are responding to a reported hazmat incident at Disneyland on Tuesday after an unknown odor was detected near the backstage area of the Star Tours attraction in Tomorrowland. Okay, that's not good, obviously. That's a pretty serious situation right there. Initially, I thought, okay, well, you know, is this kind of a cleaning chemical situation? We've seen that at like the Polynesian, for example, at Walt Disney World. This was not that. Apparently, this may have been some construction materials related to a contractor doing work at the Disneyland Resort. You'll note that there's a lot of work actually being conducted right now at Disneyland Resort, and it looks like in the facilitation of that, there may have been some issues there. Update from Disneyland: 4 cast members have been taken to the hospital. We now know it to be 5, I do believe, after experiencing dizziness and shortness of breath after coming into contact with unknown odors and substances. I want to go ahead and get Scott Gustin's recent tweet out about this because I think it's pretty important. And again, this broke right before the Thomas Mazloum news, which I do question why that news was showcased by Disney at this time. They trying to cover it? I don't know, but it does raise some questions for sure. Scott Gustin: building materials used by a contractor triggered a reaction backstage at Disneyland. Several cast members were treated on site by paramedics and released, while 5 experiencing dizziness and shortness of breath. They were all taken to local hospitals. I've been trying to catch up with the story and trying to get to the bottom of what actually happened to those affected cast members after they, had started experiencing those symptoms and noticed that those odors. I don't believe any of those cast members were severely injured, nor did obviously did any of those cast members. They're still with us. Is what I'm going to say for YouTube's sake, right there. Which is good, at least from the preliminary research that I have. Definitely praying for every single one of those cast members affected. That should not happen, cannot happen, and it does seem that the resort is taking it seriously. I know Fox and CBS were trying to get word on what had actually happened. Information was not as forthcoming as it could have possibly been in the situation, but it looks like the people are recovering at the hospital currently right now. We don't have too much more information to go on this story, which is why I was hesitant to really to really highlight this to the extent that like theming an entire live stream around it. I just didn't feel that was appropriate. So there you go. That's what's going on right there. So yeah, I mean, Chef Addy talking about asbestos. I mean, that has been a concern at Disneyland in prior years, right? So whenever you're doing contract work with some of those old constructed buildings and so forth, right, you do have to take extra precaution. I don't believe that was what happened here, and I'm hesitant to speculate at this point what may have happened, because I don't think it's necessarily responsible in reporting. But that's I mean, that is certainly a consideration that is made by contractors doing work on structures that go back to the 1950s. I mean, you got to think, like, I can tell you, I mean, there was a point at which we weren't even using PVC or metal pipes for drainage and stuff. We would use like paper. It's crazy. It's wild. Anyway, old construction for sure. But as soon as I know something about that and more about what's actually going on, we'll go ahead and I'll update you guys. I just haven't. I've been covering the waiver wire, and unfortunately, because of the Disneyland president news, that being Thomas Mazloum being chairman of Parks and Resorts, all my search queries haven't really provided many results because of that. So it's just interesting timing. I should is all. Let me see if there's been an update on this. Let me see. I'm doing the work real time. Because we might have more information here to go on. TMZ article. I don't know how trustworthy we can trust that right there. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant to go off of what they say.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
It might be. It might be. Just saying. This is, it's not great. No updates from Scott Gustin or anything else. CBS LA, have they updated their article? No, it doesn't look like it. Disneyland officials later said the incident occurred after building materials used by a contractor created an unexpected reaction. The situation had no impact on guests. Adjacent areas were closed as crews responded. We're set to reopen shortly. So there you go. There's not much more to go on. We'll have to wait until the people that were actually hospitalized actually receive their care and maybe make a full recovery, and then we'll report on that if at the time that's appropriate right there. Let's see. We have Going Shogi. We have Going Shogi up there. What's he saying? Follow the Bradley's Fun. They were taking the excess green milk to be buried deep under the... Okay. Well, hopefully everybody's okay. I want to say that. I really do hope everybody is all right. But blue milk is terrible. It is not good. Green milk, even far worse than that is for sure. Replacing it, I guess, with pink milk. The pink milk that they have now brought out, which is... I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if it's a lateral move, downgrade, upgrade. Not sure. A lot of people didn't like that flavor either. Follow the Bradley's Fun. Never cross the streams. Pink, blue, green milk. Don't do that, folks. Don't do that. I'm telling you right now. Just not even once. Not even the once. You want to do that. Very, very interesting stuff right there. Yeah. So, I believe, let me go ahead and leave you on this slide right here of all the leadership changes that have been announced today. All this breaking news right here. Disney Experiences announces major leadership changes. Thomas Mazloum named the chairman of Disney Experiences. Jill Estorino named president, Disneyland Resort. Tasia Filipatos named president, Disney Parks International. Lisa Baldziki named president, Disney Consumer Products. Transitions will get underway in the next few weeks, with all roles effective March 18, 2026. There was something else, too. I do believe Scott Gustin had a little bit more on Tasia. Let's see right here. Tasia has been named president of Disney Parks International, replacing Estorino. She most recently served as president of Disney Consumer Products, overseeing the company's global merchandise, retail, publishing, and games business. Very interesting. Her new role will include oversight of Disney's international parks, as well as expansion efforts in global markets, including the company's upcoming theme park project in Abu Dhabi. Oh, will she? Huh. That's a very interesting position right now, because I gotta be honest, I have no idea whether or not that's going forward. And it's not because Disney just might not want to go forward with it, because as all of you know, at home, you know that Morale is paying Disney for the licenses to the related characters, IP, and so forth, and the facilitation of the building of that resort. So, they're getting a huge cash payout and maybe an ongoing royalty fee after that is established. The reason why I'm saying that might be up in the air right now is because there is word, I believe the Financial Times actually brought this out, that due to the conflicts actually going on in that region of the world, a lot of the people around there, a lot of the officials, a lot of the leadership of some of those countries are saying, you know what, United States, I don't know if we're going to continue doing business to the extent that we were before all this started. Because, a lot of people are losing a lot of money, especially from the tourism sector of that economy. So what does that mean for that project? Well, it means it's on shaky ground as of yet. And remember, folks, according to Disney's filings with the SEC, that deal has yet to be inked. Yeah, that's right. They were still in negotiations and finalizing that deal when that was announced. That status hadn't changed and might change with this new conflict right here. So very, very interesting stuff. I'm definitely keeping a close eye on that, and I'll be breaking it down more in depth later on because I think it's a fascinating story. But Tasia, that's your problem now. Good luck. That's all I'll say. Lisa Baldziki promoted to president of Disney Consumer Products, which, by the way, it's important to establish as well. Consumer Products, a big part of the Disney Experiences division. Remember, that's when Bob Chapek, who was previously the head of Consumer Products, because it was his own separate, distinct division, right? He was then pulled from that position and made the Parks and Resorts chief, I believe 2015, 2016, around there. When that transition happened, very immediately thereafter, Chapek decided, okay, well, if you're putting me into the Parks and Resorts division, I'm just going to go ahead and merge Consumer Products with Parks and Resorts and making the Disney Parks Experiences and Products division. Whew, say that 5 times fast. And then that was reduced to the Experiences division under Josh D'Amaro's leadership. But for that period of time when Bob Chapek made that transition happen, he said that it was very important that Consumer Products be folded into Parks and Resorts because, like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, for example, they had 300 new distinct merchandise items brought out for the opening of that land back in 2019. We all remember. Some of us maybe want to forget. But when that took place, Chapek was saying that there needed to be a collaboration between Imagineering and Consumer Products to facilitate that, right? There needed to be a distinct relationship in order to bring in some of those items that were very lore-driven, lore-specific, right? Very niche, maybe even esoteric in some respects. That was all the facilitation of that. Has it worked out? I suppose. But Consumer Products, a big part of the Walt Disney Company for sure, and that division. With Tasia moving to the Parks division, Lisa has been promoted to president of Disney Consumer Products, that being Lisa Baldziki. Lisa previously led Parks product development and retail, overseeing merchandising strategy and product experiences across Disney's domestic parks. She will now oversee the broader global consumer products division, which includes Disney's massive licensing business spanning more than 180 countries. All of the leadership transitions announced on Tuesday are set to take effect March 18th, the same day D'Amaro formally becomes the CEO of the Walt Disney Company. Big stuff. Big stuff, folks. That is happening. And that's why we went live today, because this is the biggest news that we have to share in the Experiences division. Well, I mean, for the entire year, practically. I mean, this is it, folks. You have seen the changes be implemented under Josh D'Amaro's leadership for the entire Experiences division. You've seen the erasure of shows and entertainment. You've seen the implementation of Lightning Lane. You've seen brain-dead decisions like trying to transfer all the Imagineers to Lake Yoda and then canceling that. Whatever. You've seen the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser open up and fail under Josh D'Amaro's leadership. All of these things have happened, in the last 6 years or so? Okay. Well, now we have a fresh new face. Now we have somebody who is taking the helm that comes from a consumer products, or I should say a consumer guest satisfaction type division for the company. Oh, how will they perform? How will they improve what I think a lot of people have seen as a diminishment of this Experiences division? These are all open questions. This is why we went live. This is why we're bringing it to you here on Vash Sky ParkCast. We're going to be talking about this story and much more tomorrow. That's going to be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern right there. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. It's going to be a fun show, folks. We're going to have MJ on, Erica on. I believe I can get Ron on. That'd be cool. And if we can get Nolan on, I think that would be awesome as well. we'll go ahead and put it together right there. Should be a lot of fun talking about all of these stories and much more. We've got so much to cover, folks. It's crazy. And I do believe on Thursday, that being this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be talking about the Pixar Wall Street Journal story. I think that's a fascinating thing to really break down in depth. I know it's kind of a, it's an older story, but it's so important for the future and health of this company. And one of the things that Josh D'Amaro, as CEO, will have to contend with when he actually is made CEO on March 18th, officially, formally. Very, very interesting stuff right here. So we've got so much coverage coming to you on Vash Sky ParkCast. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right there. Hit the like button on this stream right here. Share us out if you really do like us. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal right there. We've got so much great stuff coming to you. And I want to go ahead and thank each and every one of you for making a stream like this possible. I think it's really, really cool to go live impromptu. Look, I get it. I know. It's not something we usually do, but I think it's going to be really, really cool to bring you this coverage in a way that, we just couldn't bring you before. I think it's going to be really, really awesome. Let me know if you're rewatching this stream or in the chat right now how I did, how you like a Vash-only show. Again, it's one of my first times actually doing this, especially for this extent. So if there's any pointers you can give me, any criticisms, if it's anything like, hey, you know what, we like panelists or we like you, Vash, please let me know all that feedback down there in the comment section or in the side right now on the chat. Thank you so much for watching, Skyliners. It's been awesome to bring you this news and more. Remember, though, the sky is the limit.